good day, classmate and sir. I am Maria Katrina Yomo from BS Midwifery Department. In this activity, we will going to discuss or elaborate this scenario. The group of aliens has just arrived on planet Earth, but they want to learn about human history and culture. Me and my team of scientists are tasked to communicate with this group of aliens. My first job is to teach them about the value of literature to human society. So, how will I do this? What will I tell them about literature? With a partner or in groups, brainstorm on what to do given the situation above. Then, we will present our discussion into the class. So, it has 5 value of literature. First, the entertainment value. Literature has entertainment value. If reading, it gives occasion to enjoy yourself. This type of value is inherently subjective because not everyone will enjoy the same kinds of stories, styles, or themes. Being entertained is important, but being bored does not give any more license to reject a work outright. I can put the book down and not read it anymore, but I should be careful not to assume that my boredom is somehow a characteristic of the work I tried to read. Rather, I was bored, plain and simple. Someone else might not be. At the same time, if a work is awesome to me, exciting, intriguing, etc., I should not assume that my interest is somehow a characteristic of the work I enjoyed reading. Rather, I was interested, plain and simple. Someone else might not be. Second, artistic value. Literature has artistic value if reading it gives occasion to contemplate the nature of beauty and human. There are many works of literature that experiment with the limits of language and its expressive power. If I like how words can be manipulated to create beautiful works of art, then a work that tries to use words that way in a new and unique way will have artistic value for me. I would say that every work of literature that we read in this course has artistic value because they are all works that have remained important over the years for the way they extended the power of language in a new direction. If you don't like words, it will be difficult to see the artistic value of any poem or story. The value will still be there even if you don't see it, however. Third, the cultural value. Literature has cultural value if reading it gives occasion to think about the place and time of the author at the time at work was written. Authors might seem like supernatural beings or at least people who are way above us, transcending the world down here to live among the heavens with their artistic visions, but they are actually regular people like the rest of us. They care about what is happening in the world around them, and they have experience in life that shape their attitudes toward various issues. If their work addresses the attitudes, customs, and values of their time, or the another time, then the work has a cultural value. The work becomes a window into a world that is unfamiliar, and we are encouraged to compare cultural difference. And fourth, historical value. Literature has historical value if reading it gives occasion to think about the past, how things changes over time, and how the world has evolved in what is today. Historical value sometimes overlaps with cultural value. If a work is really old, then it can give us insight into a culture so far back that we can also think about how that culture might be a foundation for our own. The glitch about history is true the less we know about how things were, the more likely we are to relive them. Of course, some things might be worth reliving, and we might regret some of the history we have left behind, but other things we want to avoid repeating. Works of literature can help us learn about the past, process the past, and use the past to our advantage. Sometimes, historical value of a work is that it shows us what we have gained and what we have lost. And lastly, is the moral value. Literature has moral value if reading it gives occasion to learn a lesson. If a story or poem teaches us how to live or attempts to teach us, then it has a moral dimension. Is the work still valuable if we do not like the lesson it teaches? Perhaps. So, the best readers will see the moral value of a work even if the moral it endorses how somehow distasteful to them. Moral value is a dangerous value to measure. The history of censorships, for instance, is based on the idea that if a work teaches the wrong things, it should not be read at all. This idea goes all the way back to Plato, one of the earliest philosophers to explore the moral dimension of histories and poetry. We have to be careful, I think, not to hold moral value as the most important one. If we reduce a story or poem to a moral lesson, or require that a history or poem be a moral lesson that we can endorse, then we are using literature to back up our own beliefs. To avoid this mistake, we must learn to appreciate works of literature for its various kinds of value. To appreciate means to measure the value of something, and we need to try to find value in a work if we are inclined to reject it simply because we think it teaches the wrong lesson. Here is where ethical value comes into play. So, that's all the value of literature. And this is the end of our discussion po. Thank you.